Hello hackers! Bitlocker keys can be pulled from physical access, GearBest customer records have been leaked, your favorite game of Counter-Strike may be giving you malware, the infamous Mirai botnet gets an upgrade, and a current presidential candidate was part of an infamous hacker group, as well as two major vulnerabilities put some medical patients' heart at risk. All this and more in this episode of Exploit Broker's Hacker News. Hello hackers, welcome to the Exploit Brokers podcast. We cover everything from hacker news to hacking tutorials and the latest in the hacking and tech world. I'm your host Laudo and we're ready to log in. This week in hacker news, if you've been using Windows Bitlocker to encrypt your drives, then you may want to find another way. A security researcher has found an attack that would allow a malicious agent to pull encryption keys from the TBM chip using a field programmable gate array to sniff clear text keys as they go across the circuit. The researcher does go to show on there's a possible defense against this attack. Enabling pre-boot authentication with a PIN would prevent the clear text key from being sent and render this attack useless. VPN Mentor's research team was able to access GearBest's unsecured database. The database exposed data including access to payment information, passport information, passwords, name, addresses, date of births, and more. VPN Mentor's team was able to access the database as recently as March 2019. VPN Mentor research team was also able to log into two different users' accounts and pretend to be them and act on their behalf. Although there appeared to be some partial hashing, the security team believes it could also be some of the data was corrupted. At the time of VPN Mentors publishing the report, they attempted to contact GearBest multiple times but had not yet received a response. In my opinion, by now GearBest should have responded and tried to patch it. An unsecured database is not a laughing matter, especially given the amount of information being leaked from their database. Hey guys, if you like to play video games, I got some serious news for you. According to a recent study by Dr. Webb, around 39% of all Counter-Strike 1.6 servers were infected with the Bitlocker Trojan. The Bitlocker Trojan used remote code execution to infect other devices. At the time of the report, the official game client had 2 RCE vulnerabilities, and the pirated version had 4 RCE vulnerabilities. The malicious server would use the RCE to infect the victim. The victim then appeared to create a proxy server so that other players would see the server with a lower ping rate. Once the new victim connected, they would also be infected. The process continued until the Bitlocker Trojan had infected around 1,951 game servers, and the Dr. Webb team worked with reg.ru domain registrar to shut down the domains used by the Trojan to redirect to the malicious server. Now, Dr. Webb has since updated their database to identify the Trojan, and they have since found over 120 infected game clients via their sinkhole server and over 1,000 infected devices via their telemetry data. Although they were able to neutralize the botnet, the vulnerability has not been patched at the time of the report. Until the publisher does patch this vulnerability, it's not long until a copycat comes up. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Mirai botnet that came to light in 2016. Well, Palo Alto's Network's Unit 42 recently released a report indicating a new Mirai botnet variant had been discovered. Their analysis show a potential shift in Mirai variants targeting enterprise devices. They were able to pull a Mirai sample that showed 27 exploits, with 11 out of 27 exploits as completely new to the Mirai botnet. Now, some notable features of the new variant include the ability to send out HTTP flood DDoS attacks. It's using the same encryption scheme as the original Mirai, and is using default credentials not seen before. The report also discusses the shell that is being retrieved is hosted at a Colombian security company's website and was active at the time of the report's writing. Palo Alto Networks also say their clients are currently protected by their wildfire and threat prevention and PanDB systems. Now on to some hacker political news. One of the Democratic candidates for the presidency was once a Cult of the Dead Cow member. Please forgive me for mispronouncing his name, Beto O'Rourke. His connection to the Cult of the Dead Cow is shown in the upcoming book, Cult of the Dead Cow, How the Original Hacking Supergroup Might Just Save the World. He originally posted to Cult of the Dead Cow under the pseudonym Psychedelic Warlord. His time with the Cult of the Dead Cow hasn't brought up any notable hacks, and it appears he was not an active hacker with the group, but just posted to the boards. Now on to some very serious hacker news. The Department of Homeland Security has alerted the public of a vulnerability in the implantable cardiac defibrillator, or ICDs, and other Medtronic devices utilizing the Connexus telemetry protocol. One of the vulnerabilities was given a CVSS of 9.3 out of 10 and has been assigned CVE-2019-6538. The vulnerability allows access controls since it appears the Connexus telemetry protocols do not implement authentication or encryption. An attacker with a short-range software-defined radio, SDR, within range of the device is able to mess with it as long as the RF functionality is active. The other vulnerability is assigned CVE-2019-6540. This vulnerability has a CVSS score of 6.5 out of 10. The lack of encryption allows the Connexus telemetry protocol to transmit clear text information, and as many as 750,000 devices have been affected. Now guys, that is all for this week's notable security threats. For more hacking news, tutorials, and to join our community, visit us at exploitbrokers.com and tune in next week for another Hacker News segment. I'm your host, Laudo, logging off.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.